Welcome to this third series in final accounts adjustments. Already we have seen 10 adjustments. In this session, I'm going to take you through 11 to 15. And very important, very critical adjustment, bad debts. So what do we mean by bad debts? Let's look at this. See, company can sell goods in two ways. One is cash sales, the other one is credit sales. In cash sales, they'll get the money immediately. In credit sale, they basically give certain credit period to the customer. Let's say like 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days. So upon expiry of the credit period, the customer is supposed to pay. If the customer pays, well and good, no issue. If the customer doesn't pay, then it indicates this money is likely to not come back. Okay, because on the due date it is supposed to be paid by the customer, but on the due date customer is not paying. Okay, but at the time itself we cannot conclude it as bad debts because it has just become overdue. Let's say for example, sale is made now and due date is 90 days from now. So customer has credit till this period. On the 90th day he is supposed to make payment, but he is not making payment. It becomes 100, it becomes 150, it becomes 200. Like that the days are increasing and the company is also continuously following up with the customer. But despite all the follow-up, the customer is not responding, or eventually customer has expressed his incapacity to pay. So the business or the company comes to a conclusion that this customer is not going to pay at all. It means this is becoming loss for the business entity because customer has established that he has no capacity to pay. It means that sale amount has become irrecoverable. Okay, so that debt has become what? Bad debts. So bad debts is basically a loss for the business because you have originally recognized sales and you have shown profit also. Okay, because sales would have been compared with the expenses, you would have shown some profit, but that sales is not realized. So to offset that, you have to recognize that loss. Okay, so bad debts is basically a loss, and this you get to know based on the continuous follow-up with the customer. So these are all the debts which cannot be recovered, or recoverable, irrecoverable debts we call as bad debts. This is basically loss, and this loss will be taken to debit of P&L, or we say this will be charged to profit and loss account. Profit and loss account. Okay, let's see what will be the adjustment entry. Since it is a loss, we have to follow the nominal rule. Debit all expenses and losses. So adjustment entry is bad debts being a loss, it should be debited. So bad debts account will be debited. And what will be the impact of this bad debts? Bad debts is affecting what? See, when goods are sold on credit, whether cash is coming in? No, cash is not coming in. Rather, a new asset is created for the entity that is called as debtors. It means debtors are basically customers to whom goods are sold on credit. So debtors, whatever amount, that will be the new asset that is going to be created. When it is established that these customers are not going to pay, what will happen to this debtors? It will come down. Debtors will come down. So in adjustment entry, bad debts account is debited because it is a loss, and the impact is it will reduce the balance in debtors. Let's say for example, the credit sales made is 10 crore. Okay, since it is credit sale, what would have happened? A debtor asset would have been created for 10 crore. But of the debtor, if 2 crore worth of debtors are not going to pay, if it is proved that it has become bad debts, then we cannot continue saying that debtors is 10 crore because it is already proved that 2 crore is not going to come back. So from that debtors, we have to subtract bad debts 2 crore. So net debtors will be 8 crore only. So look, what is the impact of bad debts? It is reducing the debtors. Debtors will generally have what balance? Debit balance. So when you reduce the debtor, it will have credit. So here the credit should go to debtors account. To debtors account. Okay, so this will be the adjusting entry. Now you have created the bad debts, but we haven't parked it yet. And this entry is passed only to recognize the bad debts. Okay, so now we have to transfer this. We have to transfer this bad debts to debit of P&L. So profit and loss account should be debited. P&L account should be debited, and bad debts being transferred, it will be credited to bad debts account. And what will be the impact in trading and P&L? Let's see. It will not go to trading, rather it will find place in P&L account. See, in P&L account, if already there is a bad debt, then with that this will be added. It means anyhow bad debts is going to appear on debit side. Bad debts will appear on debit side. So this will be the impact in P&L. And in balance sheet, already I have shown you, this will reduce the debtors. So in balance sheet on the asset, already we will be having debtors. Okay. From that we have to deduct bad debts. Yeah. With regard to transfer entry, we have one important understanding. See here, transfer entry, what did I said? This bad debts should be parked in P&L account, because that loss got to be recognized in P&L, right? Only then P&L profit will come down. That is the case of bad debts, because in bad debts it is proved that it has become loss. But what companies will do, every year while finalizing, that is when they close the books of accounts, they will check whether any debtors are likely to become bad debts in future. By looking at the past history, by factoring some percentage, or by understanding the pulse of some customer, they may come to conclusion that some debtors may not pay in future. Okay, it's only may not, it is not for sure. They are anticipating. If they pay in future, well and good. So here what will happen is, they will anticipate that some debtors may not pay in future. So in anticipation itself, they will recognize some loss. See, bad debts is an actual loss, but I am anticipating that in future there can be some loss. So I want to provide for that loss now itself. I am not going to wait till that loss occurs, because this comes from the concept of prudence. Do you know what does the concept of prudence is? If there is any known loss, you can recognize that loss even before it occurs. Okay, so I am anticipating some customers may not pay in future. So when they don't pay in future, what will happen? At that time I will recognize bad debts. At that time I will hit the P&L. Okay, so instead of waiting for everything to happen, I want to be little proactive. I want to provide that loss now itself, so that when that actual loss occurs, I need not hit the P&L once again. Okay, so now itself let me hit the P&L, inform the readers of the financial statement that there is a possibility some losses can happen. Look, I am providing for it now itself. So when that actual loss happens, I need not take that to P&L, rather I can adjust that in a separate account. So how it will work? Look at this. It's a balance sheet. I have some debtors of say 10 crore. Of this 10 crore, I believe some 1 crore worth of debtors may default. So I'm anticipating a bad debts. So how I'm going to recognize that anticipation? I'm going to call it as provision for bad debts. I'm only making a provision for bad debts. Okay. Then I will say my debtors is 9 crore. This is the position in balance sheet. Now this provision I will keep it in debit side of P&L. In debit side of P&L, I'll say to provision for bad debts. How much? 1 crore. Okay. Now this is the scenario in the current year. Let's say this is the current year. Next year, let's say that has happened. The customer whom I expected will not pay has proved that he is not going to pay. So that provision, whatever I anticipated, has become a reality, and already I have subtracted that here. Okay. Now, should I once again go and hit that in P&L? Not required. Answer is no, because in the previous year already we have charged the P&L. Already the expense was booked in the name of provision for bad debts. Already profit has come down. Already debtors were adjusted by this 1 crore. So once again, if we go and adjust another 1 crore in debtors and another 1 crore in P&L, it becomes duplication. But one thing what you have to notice is, already we have deducted the debtor. Debtor is standing at 9 crore, but the deduction was on account of provision for bad debts. Okay. It means already an account called provision for bad debts is created. Now we have to rename this. We have to rename this as bad debts. It has to be shown as debtors 10 crore minus bad debts 1 crore. It is not that debtors 10 crore, provision 1 crore, then bad debts another 1 crore. No. It is only this provision that is getting absorbed. So the original entry what we would have passed for bad debts account debit to debtors account. Correct? Let's say this 1 crore, 1 crore. But here, when I am writing two debtors, it means I am reducing the debtors. But already provision for bad debts is reduced. So what we have to do now? This bad debts, instead of taking it to P&L, if we take it to provision for bad debts, account debit, okay, 1 crore, and park this bad debts over here, 1 crore. So what's happening now? This provision for bad debts absorbed the bad debts which has occurred. Okay. So already we anticipated a provision. We have created that. Now that provision is used to absorb the bad debts. It means this bad debts is not going to P&L. Why? Because P&L was already hit by provision for bad and doubtful debts. Okay. So whenever a provision has already been created for bad debts, then the bad debts transfer entry will not go to P&L. Rather, it will go to provision for bad and doubtful debts or provision for bad debts account. Okay. So be very clear about that. Let's have a look at example. Yeah. Trial balance as on 31/3/21 shows sundry debtors is 1,02,000. Adjustment, you have to write off rupees 2,000 as bad debts. Okay, it's a simple case. So first let's pass the adjusting entry. Bad debts is a loss, so it should be debited. Bad debts account debit. How much? 2,000. And this will reduce the debtors. So debtors account should be credited 2,000. And then we have to transfer this. And here we don't have any information whether any provision is maintained. So what we'll do, we'll directly take it to P&L. P&L account debit to bad debts account. P&L account debit to bad debts account. How much? This 2,000. Then we have to take it to P&L and balance sheet. In P&L account, on the debit side, will show to bad debts account. How much? 2,000. And in balance sheet, already there is a debtors under assets. There is a debtors of 1,02,000. From that we have to deduct bad debts. We have to deduct bad debts of 2,000. So we get net debtors as 1 lakh. Okay, so this is the treatment for bad debts. In the next adjustment, we'll see provision for bad and doubtful debts in depth. Already I have given you an overview. If you are anticipating that some debtors are going to default, you can make a provision for it now itself instead of waiting for the last moment. Okay, so when I say provision, this is the amount which is set aside basically as a charge in profit and loss account. Why we are creating this charge? It's basically to absorb the losses arising on account of bad debts. Okay, it's basically to absorb the losses that is arising on account of bad debts. So this will be generally calculated at the end of the year, where they'll be looking at the overall debtors. They'll look at overall debtors, and that will be classified as good debtors. It means they'll pay without any issues, and doubtful debtors. So how they come to a conclusion whether it is doubtful? Based on some past trend, based on the interaction with the customer, understanding their incapacity to pay and all. Okay, so generally it will be based on the past experience. There will be some percentage they'll be applying on the debtors. Okay, so on good debtors, no charge will be there, but when it is doubtful, certain percentage will be calculated on this, and that will be charged. That is, that will be debited to P&L. That will be one effect. Another effect is it will be subtracted from debtors balance. It will be subtracted from debtors balance at the time of creation. But this account will continue to absorb when there are bad debts. So accordingly, the balances in this account will undergo a change. So the entry will be like this, adjusting entry. I said it's a charge in P&L. So P&L account will be debited, and this provision for bad debts or bad and doubtful debts account will be created. Okay, so this will appear either under current liability or on the asset side as a deduction item from sundry debtors. Both are one and the same. The effect is one and the same. Okay, let's have a look at an example. Yeah, before that, in P&L on the debit side you will find to provision for bad and doubtful debts, and in balance sheet under assets under debtors as a deduction item it will be shown. Provision for bad and doubtful debts. Okay, let's have a look at this example. The trial balance as on 31/3/2021 shows sundry debtors is 1,50,000. You have to provide 5% for bad and doubtful debts on sundry debtors. Look, some percentage is applied on this figure. Okay, so what is the provision? Provision is 1,50,000 into 5%, and that works out to 7,500. That works out to 7,500. So this will have two effects, one in P&L debit and the other one in balance sheet under asset side. It is not an asset item, asset under debtors as a deduction item, Okay, let's see adjustment entry. P&L account debit. How much? P&L account debit, it is 7,500 to provision for, I'll write in short BDD, provision for bad and doubtful debts account 7,500 being provision created, and the impact will be in profit and loss account to provision for bad and doubtful debts account 7,500, and in balance sheet under assets will have debtors 1,50,000. From that, provision for Bad and doubtful debts, how much? 7,500. So it is 1,42,500. So that is the net debtors position. Okay. There are some more learnings related to provision for bad and doubtful debts, because when bad debts comes into picture and when it is getting adjusted, then there will be some relative changes. Let's say, for example, here you have provision for bad and doubtful debts as 7,500. We have basically calculated this as 5% on debtors. Okay. Let's say the question also provides for some bad debts in the form of adjustment. So already 1,50,000, and you are asked to create 5% provision for bad and doubtful debts. It means opening provision for bad and doubtful debts information is not available. And already we know that bad debts can be adjusted in provision if it is already available. Okay. So if I give you this information that opening provision for bad and doubtful debts is 10,000. Okay. And bad debts written off is 5,000, and question says 5% provision for bad and doubtful debts have to be created. Then what will be the effect? So you have to visualize like this. Provision, the opening balance is 10,000, right? Opening balance is 10,000, and bad debts of 5,000 have to be absorbed in this provision. So ideally the closing balance should be 5,000. But question says 5% provision for bad and doubtful debts have to be created. So already debtors is 1,50,000. On that 5,000 bad debts, if you subtract, it will become 1,45,000. Okay. On this 5%, 1,45,000 into 5% works out to 7,250. So this is the provision that have to be created. But what is the provision already available? 10,000. Of that, how much is subtracted? 5,000. So what will be the balance provision that is already available? 10,000 minus 5,000, 5,000. But what is the provision that you have to maintain at the rate of 5% on the debtors? It is 7,250. What is already available? 5,000. It means 2,250 provision have to be created. So for this only you will be asked to pass adjusting entry, because already 5,000 is available. So in that case you will be debiting the P&L account debit to provision. How much? 2,250. It is to provision for bad and doubtful debts. It is 2,250. And of course, this 5,000, what entry you will pass? It's a bad debts. Will you take it to P&L? No. This will be absorbed in provision for bad and doubtful debts account. So, provision for bad and doubtful debts account will be debited and bad debts will be credited. How much? 5,000. At the time of creation of this bad debts, what entry would have been passed? Bad debts account debit to sundry debtors account. How much? 5,000, 5,000. Okay. So you have to be clear with this. That is, when there is an opening balance, let me put it here. When there is an opening balance in provision, and if there are any bad debts absorbed during the year, then that will be subtracted. Okay. And question will say you have to have certain amount of provision as closing balance. Closing balance and provision. So this will be certain percentage of debtors. Now this closing balance you will be able to arrive at only when you provide something extra like what we have done. Question said you should have 7,250, but already we had 5,000. So what we have done is we have just provided 2,250, and for this what we did, we took opening balance, we have subtracted bad debts, okay, then we have ascertained the situation. That is, we have compared with the closing balance of 7,250. The same thing I am doing. Opening balance minus bad debts, okay. Ideally, you are supposed to get closing balance, but here the closing balance as dictated in the question will be different. So this, when compared with this, will throw a difference, and that difference is basically provision made during the year. Don't worry if it sounds a little confusing. When we take up some more problems, you will understand this with much more clarity. Just for your clarity purpose, I am saying this again. We started with opening balance of 10,000. We subtracted bad debts 5,000. Okay, so we had 5,000. But what we did, we compared with the closing balance. What is the closing balance? 5,000 plus 2,250, that is 7,250. So we had a difference. What is the difference? Difference is 2,250, and this is what provided during the year. P&L account debit to provision for bad and doubtful debts. Okay, right. Next, let's move on to 13th adjustment. This is provision for discount on debtors. This is basically a cash discount given to customers who are really prompt in making payment, or they make payment before the due date. So generally it will be given something like this. Let's say 2 by 10 net 30. So this will be some credit terms they'll be giving. That is, customer will be given a credit period of 30 days. But if customer is going to pay within 10 days, he will be given 2% discount. So this is what called as cash discount. This is basically to encourage them to pay earlier, and for this company is going to incur some cost. Okay, the cost is basically the 2% discount what they give. Not all customers will avail this. Very few customers. So based on certain experience, based on the past track record, companies will be estimating that certain percentage of customers will be making the early payment to avail the discount. So that will be provided on the debtors. It means if the company is having a debtors, let's say of 10 crore, and if they expect that some customers are going to make early payment to avail the discount, then the company should provide for it in its balance sheet as well as in P&L. But on which debtors this can be calculated? See, only good customers will pay. So from this debtors, you have to deduct bad debts. Okay, so bad customers will go. You have to deduct provision for bad debts. So you are anticipating some customers may not pay, so deduct that also. Bad debts means already proved, provision means you are estimating. So after deducting all this, you will get some debtors. We call them as good debtors. Okay, so only these good debtors, only out of this some customers will avail cash discount by making early payment. So on this good debtors, you can estimate provision for discount on debtors. Provision for discount on debtors. And this is an expense for the business. Okay, so for that reason, it will appear in debit side of P&L to provision for discount on debtors. And in balance sheet, it will be appearing as I said here. Debtors minus bad debts minus provision, then only provision for discount on debtors will come into picture. Okay, let's look at this example. Trial balance as on 31/3/21 shows sundry debtors at 50,000. You have to create provision for discount on debtors at 1%. So here it is given as a straight case. So adjusting entry will be like this. This provision will reduce the debtors on one side, okay, and it's a charge in P&L. So adjusting entry is P&L account debit to provision for discount on debtors account. How much? 50,000 into 1%, it is 500. And the impact in P&L is, it will appear in debit side to provision for discount on debtors account. How much? 500. In balance sheet, it will be appearing after deducting 2 or two items, that is basically bad debts and provision for bad debts, then only this provision for discount on debtors will come. Here we don't have all those, so we'll just capture this. Sundry debtors, how much? 50,000. From that minus provision for discount on debtors, 500. So it is 49,500. Okay. Next, let's move on to the last adjustment, that is treatment of income tax paid. This is mainly focusing on sole proprietor. And this is again from Income Tax Act point of view. See, income tax does not distinguish between the sole proprietor and his proprietorship. Okay. Because business income of sole proprietor is not assessed separately. It is assessed as a total income or component of total income of the proprietor only. Okay. So, it is the sole proprietor who is assessed for the overall income. So, whatever income tax that is paid by the sole proprietor is not a business expense. Is not a business expense. It is rather his personal expenditure. It is personal. Since it is personal in nature, any tax paid will be considered as money withdrawn by the proprietor for his personal purposes. So that will come under drawings only. So if there is going to be cash outflow for payment of taxes, it will be captured as drawing only. So adjusting entry will be drawings account debit to cash or bank. To cash or bank. Okay. And the impact is, it will find place in balance sheet. Capital will get reduced. Okay. The impact is, it will have its effect in balance sheet. 1. Capital will come down on account of drawings. 2. The cash or bank balance will also come down because drawings effect. Okay. Look at this example. Trial balance of Vijay as on 31/3/21 shows capital of 1,05,000 and cash at bank of 80,000. Income tax paid is 15,000. Okay. So adjusting entry is, this income tax paid is a personal expense. So drawings account will be debited. Drawings account debit how much? 15,000. And let's say it is paid through bank. So to bank account 15,000. And what will be the impact in P&L? No impact in P&L. It will have its impact only in balance sheet. In balance sheet under equity and liabilities, you will have capital. How much? 1,05,000. From that, we have to deduct drawings. How much? 15,000. So capital now becomes 90,000. And on the asset side, they had cash at bank of 80,000. Cash at bank 80,000. From that, we have to deduct cash or say income tax. How much? 15,000. So this becomes 65,000. Okay. So in that way, we are done with this adjustment itself. We are moving to the last one, 15th adjustment, that is manager's commission. See, managers will be given commission on the basis of certain parameters. In that, one of the parameter can be profit on the business. Okay. So this will actually encourage them to work more so that they will contribute more to the profits, and when they contribute more to the profit, they will also get certain percentage of the profit as commission. Okay, so that's the idea behind this manager's commission. Now, how this commission will be calculated? There are two ways. Okay, so it is based on profit. Based on profit, this manager's commission is calculated. There are two ways. It will be given as a certain percentage of net profit. Certain percentage of net profit before charging commission. Before charging commission. And it will also be given a certain percentage of net profit after charging that commission. Okay. So how it is technically done, I'll take you through when we go through the example. But one thing what we have to understand, this manager's commission is calculated only when the profit is arrived. So during the course of the year, it may not be paid because this profit have to be arrived, right? So you have to book that expense now manager commission account debit, okay, and credit should go to a new liability account, outstanding manager's commission. This OA stands for outstanding manager's commission account. So it is a liability we are creating because it was not yet paid in the previous year. Now only we are calculating the profit. Okay. So manager commission account debit to outstanding manager's commission. So this will be the entry. This will have impact. See, this outstanding manager commission is a liability, but this manager commission is an expense which you have booked now only, right? So this basically comes under adjusting entry. So now you have to transfer this to P&L, because in P&L this expense have to be booked. So P&L account debit to manager's commission, to manager commission account. So in that way this is captured. Okay. And how it will be presented in final accounts? In P&L, obviously it will appear in the debit side, manager commission, and in balance sheet, since it is not yet paid, this will be appearing under liabilities, outstanding manager commission. Okay. Let's have a look at an example. Yeah. On 31/3/21, net profit before charging commission is 11,000. The manager is entitled to receive 10% as commission on the profit before charging commission. This is scenario 1. 10% as commission on the profit after charging that commission. Okay, let's understand this. So what do we mean by before charging and after charging? That is, he is eligible for 10% commission on the profit before subtracting that commission. So this 11,000 is before subtracting this 10% commission. So we can simply multiply this 11,000 into 10%, that is 1,100. So this is the commission in the first scenario, because this 11,000 itself before charging the commission, it is given clearly in the question, and here the commission is also calculated on the profit before charging commission. So 11,000 into 10%, 1,100, you can take it straight away. This is case A. But for case B, 10% as commission on the profit after charging such commission. It means they are saying that this 11,000 is after charging this commission. So if this 11,000 is after charging this commission, basically the 10%, how do you arrive at that commission exactly? See here, how we have calculated, we took 11,000 into 10, we divided it by 100, that's how we got 1,100. Okay, it means this 11,000 is equated with 100. On that 10 only we have taken 1,100. But here we are saying this commission includes 10% as commission on the profit after charging that commission. It means this 11,000 cannot be equated with a base of 100 like this, because this 10% commission is on the profit after charging such commission. It means this base got to be 110. Then what is 10? That's how we should find out. So 11,000 divided by 110 into 10. So what will happen? So this will become 100. Is that right? Yeah. 100 into 10, it becomes 1,000. So what do we understand here? The commission that is payable to the manager here is only 1,000. It's because this 11,000 includes this 1,000 as well. That's why we have equated 11,000 with 110. Then we multiplied with 10. So we got this 1,000. Okay. So let's pass the entries. So we'll have scenario 1. What is the adjusting entry in scenario 1? Manager commission should be debited. How much? For 1,100. Okay. And credit should go to outstanding manager's commission, 1,100. Whereas in scenario 2, it is 1,000 only. So manager commission account debit is 1,000 and outstanding manager commission is 1,000. What about the transfer entry? this manager commission should go to P&L account, right? So P&L account debit, and credit should go to manager commission account. How much? This 1100, and here it's going to be 1000 only. Okay. And the impact in P&L, I'm just capturing both the scenarios, scenario 1, scenario 2, to manager commission. In scenario 1 it is 1100, scenario 2 it is 1000, and in balance sheet under liabilities to outstanding manager commission. To outstanding manager commission, scenario 1 1100, scenario 2 1000. Okay. So in this way we have completed all the 15 adjustments. These are all the basic fundamental level adjustments. This will be something which everyone interested in learning final accounts should go through. So we had 3 series. I will be adding some more series in the coming days. So if you're watching it live, you can expect some more series, or just check the playlist. Probably by the time you watch this, I would have updated. And if you're watching the recorded one, please check the playlist. It may have many other extensions as well. Okay. And if you are someone preparing for JA IIB exams, go through the relevant course in description. It is accounting and finance for bankers for JAB exams. And if you are a student pursuing other courses, then we have a course called Accounting Basics, a complete study. Okay, go through, enroll. I'll see you inside the course.